Okay, thanks guys. Hi everyone, welcome to the next session. My name's Emma Cosgrove. I'm a reporter for Supply Chain Dive, where we cover freight, logistics, operations, and procurement. And I'm very excited to have Greg Lehmkuhl with me today. He's the CEO of Lineage Logistics. He's gonna give a quick introduction and then we'll get straight to the questions. We have a lot to talk about.
We do. Thanks for having me, Evan. Great to be here. So my name is Greg Lehmkuhl, President and CEO of Lineage. As way of background, I've been with Lineage 5.5 years now. Prior to that, or in total, I've been in the industry about 25 years with prior jobs at Conway, Delphi, and Penske Logistics.
Fantastic, and that's a coincidence because it's about 5 years ago that I started to hear about Lineage using algorithms and data to figure out how best to run a cold storage facility and make the most of the grid wherever you are, which is just blowing my mind at the time. So by now, 5 years later, there must be a lot more data and algorithms going into the operation. Wondering if we could start off by just you telling us about that journey at Lineage to bring IoT into your operation, and what are you tracking right now, and what has the ROI been so far?
Absolutely. Maybe I'll start, Emma, with just a quick introduction of the company for those in the audience that don't know us. So Lineage is widely recognized as the largest and most innovative cold chain logistics provider in the industry. Effectively, what we do is help our 5,000 customers store and keep products safe from where they grow, source, or manufacture the product, all the way through where it's consumed in the population centers in the US and around the world. In aggregate, we have 1.9 billion cubic feet of warehousing worldwide across 56 million square feet, 320 facilities that span 13 countries around the world, from North America, South America, UK, Europe, Asia Pacific, and all the way down into Australia and New Zealand. And I think interestingly, here in the US, we touch or store a full 1/3 of the temp-controlled food that's consumed here in our country, and then around the world, we're approaching 10% of the total temp-controlled food in the world. And so you talk about innovation and IoT. Innovation has been one of our core values since we founded Lineage back in 2008, as the industry historically has been kind of a cottage industry, family-owned, and really kind of a technological laggard. And so from the very beginning, our mission and vision was to not only consolidate and institutionalize the cold chain, but also digitize the cold chain. And so fast forward from 2008, just a few years to 2015, we were making good progress on that consolidation with 15 acquisitions. But we kind of found ourselves at a technology crossroads where we had to make a decision on whether we're going to roll those 15 companies into one of the legacy technology platforms, or if we were going to just start from scratch and create a brand new one. We clearly chose the path of creating a brand new one and chose very contemporary technologies, kind of internet native cloud-based technologies like Workday, MuleSoft, Cloudera, Salesforce, and we integrated that data through what we call our Lineage data lake with all of our front-end operating systems that are fed by our WMSs or warehouse management systems. And so in creating this data lake, we were able to effectively create a unified data model that's based on Hadoop technology, which is the same technology the Google search engine is based on, and give us kind of instant access to the data from all of our both back-end and front-end systems. And so how do we use this data? One good example of how we apply that is through a technology called Metrics One. Metrics One is basically a visibility into the performance of our operations worldwide. We have real-time access to, at this point, 50 different KPIs, and it's mobilely native, and everyone from the frontline supervisor to our board of directors can monitor any one of these 50 KPIs across our global network. And the KPIs are everything from safety to productivity to employee turnover to inventory analysis to the metrics that measure how well we're performing for customers. And if you talk about the ROI or what we're getting for this, since its inception, we've seen a 40% increase or decrease in our safety incidents. So as measured by TIR or incidents per 200,000 hours worked, we set a goal 5 years ago for a 50% reduction, and we've already achieved 40 through 4 years here. We've also seen a 20% increase in productivity and a 20% decrease in employee turnover. So that's one, kind of the first example. The second example is about managing energy. as you can imagine, with 320 freezers, energy is a pretty important thing to us. In fact, on average, any one of our freezers consumes as much energy as 150,000 home freezers. And so it's also our second largest controllable cost and the number one thing that we can do to be a sustainable company and protect the environment. And so kind of historically in our industry, you'd have a room with 4,000 pallets and it'd have a single thermometer in the corner monitoring its temperature. And the problem with that is you'd see kind of hot spots and cold spots within the room that were undetectable by that single thermometer. So we turned our data science team over this on this problem, what was it, 4 years ago now. And the solution they came up with was to install up to 2,000 real-time Internet of Things temperature sensors within each warehouse. And so we can see with each level of the warehouse, each row in the warehouse, the exact temperature. And that all gets fed into our central energy dashboard every single minute of the day. In fact, we're collecting 40 million temperature data points on a daily basis to make sure we're keeping food at the optimal temperature and we're being the most sustainable and conserving energy the best we can. And so this initiative, coupled with a few others, has led to a 40% reduction in energy intensity across our company over 5 years. And I think that's one of the big reasons why we were just awarded for the second year in a row the Better Plants Award by the Department of Energy. So we're pretty proud of that.
Yes, that's the first thing I ever learned about Lineage, actually. And the fascinating part is that it's my understanding that you also combine that with information about the grids in the geographies where you are to make the most of the grid, which is...
Absolutely. So our data science team has built algorithms that take the real-time information from our temperature sensors, combine that with the information from the grids to understand when the spikes on the energy plants will happen and what those demand charges will be. They also pull in data from the National Weather Service and combine all that into a machine learning algorithm to optimize when we're going to turn on our engine rooms and cool or not. So it's a very complex thing that I couldn't write the algorithms, but we got an amazing data science team that helps us every single day.
It's super, super cool. However, well, oh gosh, sorry, pun. However, how does that translate? How do 50 KPIs, including just these advanced metrics around your cooling, how does that translate into customer value? Because surely your customers don't have access to all 50 of those KPIs.
No, they don't. So certainly a couple of metrics that they care most about is what we call turn times, and that's how fast we're turning their customers' trucks around. And so, we're a customer-driven organization. We're focused on that metric as much as anything but safety. And we've seen just in the last year, we've seen a 20% increase or decrease in I call it late trucks, or a 20% increase in on-time performance for our customers. And so that's just a great example of something that they care about every single day, and we're tracking and managing every single day.
Yeah, wow. Could you give me a little bit more detail about how just tracking a KPI turns into a 20% improvement? It's not necessarily a direct connection.
No, it's a great question. So in order to embark on a continuous improvement initiative, you need to understand your baseline and understand the data. And so what Metrics 1 does is give our team members the data so they can see the outliers, they can see when defects are happening, so they can have instant access to that data and then kind of point their energy at that initiative, or at that metric. People say what you manage is what you measure. Right in our KPI dashboard is a measurement of how much each one of our managers' bonus is going to be based on the key performance metrics that they're focused on. And for example, our customer turn times is one of those. And so it not only, we not only show them, but we make it matter to each one of our team members, what that performance ends up being.
Gotcha. Okay, so my next question was going to be, how do you avoid analysis paralysis with all of this data flowing all over the place? But it sounds like incentives are a good way to do that. Is there another way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, we're a customer-driven organization. As we're developing these technologies, we're asking our customers what's important. I think analysis paralysis happens when you build tech for tech purposes, and you're not always thinking about who it's built for. A good example of that, I think, is our customer visibility platform. And so we're deploying right now a technology we're calling Lineage Link, which is truly the first kind of end-to-end farm-to-fork visibility platform in the cold chain industry. It does give our customers instant access to inventory all the way down to the SKU and pallet level within all of our warehouses. It gives them order information so they can real-time see their orders, change their orders, and then it extends out onto the road once those orders are loaded onto trucks, and they can track those trucks as they're transported to their customer. And it also has search features. They don't have to hunt and pack and have analysis paralysis. They can go right to an individual SKU or an order number or a truck number. It really has the search capabilities of the most advanced search engines. It also has a collaborative feature where we can sit there and problem solve, not only with our customers, but with our customer's customer. So if we're supporting a manufacturer, we can talk to the manufacturer and ultimately the retailer. This is in aggregate more than a $20 million investment in the customer experience. And right now we've rolled it out to about 32 warehouses, and it'll be worldwide in the coming quarters.
Gotcha. Well, speaking of problems, cold chain has been quite a top story in terms of supply chain during the pandemic, but food and agriculture producers have really been thrown a loop depending on whether their customer is an institutional or a business customer, like a restaurant, or a consumer. One has tons of demand, one has none. So I'm just wondering, how have your customers' needs and the way they want to work with you changed in the last 6 months, and what have you done to sort of help them out? Because it's just such an intractable problem.
It has been a challenge, but I mean, our company's stated purpose is to transform the food supply chain to eliminate waste and help feed the world. That's why we exist, and so we've definitely been called to our higher calling in this pandemic. I mean, we always thought our team members were essential, but now they're technically essential by state and local government guidelines. So our first priority was to keep our team members safe so we can do our job and help feed the world. We did like everything everybody else did: PPE, social distancing. We hired a world-renowned physician to help us guide through kind of the day-to-day decisions. We also actually had medical trailers constructed and put in the parking lots of some of our largest metro markets in order to provide our team members first-line medical treatment, including COVID and antibody testing. So keep our people safe so we can help feed the world and support our customers was number one. But from the very beginning, when like everyone else, we were firsthand experiencing the surge in online, the contraction of the food service channel, the protein plant shutdowns, the major geographic shifts. I mean, when Vietnam was fine, the UK was being shut down. When Florida was still open, New York was being shut down. So the biggest challenge for us was just to manage that customer demand volatility, obviously driven by the end customer, and partnering with each one of our 5,000 customers across each one of our locations on every shift to just manage day to day. And the toughest part was just matching that demand to labor while we were experiencing labor shortages in some markets as well. But from a system standpoint, I don't think we could have been as successful as we've been so far without the systems that we have in place. In fact, we actually extended the Lineage Link technology that I talked about in the prior question. During the pandemic, we extended our driver application and wrote new code so it could become a contactless driver check-in. So all the thousands of drivers that come in and out of our buildings could check in without having a physical interface with our team members, obviously keeping our team members safe and those critical drivers safe that are helping to drive the cold chain.
Gotcha. Yeah, critical is an important word, and we're almost out of time, but I want to ask you a question on behalf of the nation, which is probably not necessarily about Lineage, but maybe, who knows, maybe we could break some news right now. As an expert in cold chain yourself, what are we all missing about the vaccine supply chain that we need to know in the next year?
Okay, so at Lineage, we remain focused on food and feeding the world. That's what we do, and I think vaccines have definitely different requirements than food. However, as kind of a world leader in logistics and supply chain, we have been consulting with the Trump administration on the proper way to distribute the vaccine. And I think maybe what most people don't think about is that some of these vaccines that may win here need to be stored and transported at -70 degrees, while others can be -40, while others can be 0, while others can be 20 degrees above 0 Fahrenheit. And that presents just a massive challenge to the distribution networks, especially when it's going to come with such a surge, not just here in the U.S., but around the world. And so I think that's maybe one thing. I think the only other thing that I would talk about from our personal experience is just the importance of getting through these clinical trials. Dr. Fauci's research team reached out to us very early on because we have 5,000 food customers and asked us to facilitate the phase 2 of one of the drug that they were supporting the most. And we were able to pull together the 5 top protein producers in the world, obviously all huge customers to Lineage, and they all stepped up and said, yes, we'll participate. And that resulted in a 30,000 person phase 2 trial of one of the leading drugs. So we're hearing that's going well, and we're rooting with the rest of the country and the world that it ends up being successful and we get a vaccine sooner than later.
Gotcha. It's great to hear anything about progress. All progress is good news. Greg, thank you so much.
Amen.
For a fascinating conversation.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.